Good evening, Hobby World. This is Hobby Hotline, episode 177. I'm your pal Val. With me tonight is Herman and Beau and the one and the only Tracy Hackler. Hello, gentlemen.
What is
Hello.
up?
Good evening.
And of course, everybody in the chat. Brad R90.
Oh, R90, my guy Rye.
He says, "Let's go hack." So,
Let's go Ryan, dude. He's awesome.
yeah, thanks for joining us, Tracy. And
Of course.
yep. So, how's everybody doing?
Val, anytime you call me or text me or email me or fax me something, I'm gonna be in, bro.
Well, I appreciate it very much. So, Tracy, let's I guess get the elephant out of the room here. So, how is it going to the national? But as a different capacity now than all those years. I mean, how many nationals have you gone to with like?
I've never done an official count, but I would say probably 20, because I've been in the industry for 27, and there's probably a handful of those years that I didn't go for whatever reason. So I like to say 20, but it could be a little more, it could be a little less. But I love it. I love the national. I loved it when the industry wasn't booming, and I love it just as much now that the industry is booming. So it's a great event.
But it was different though, this year kind of a different capacity than, with Panini. And the booth you guys had was pretty spectacular. I thought it was one of the better ones.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. That's a lot of work from a lot of people, but that was one of the things when Jimmy first brought me on to Roadshow. One of the first things he said to me was, I want a booth in the corporate area, and I want a spot in the middle where people can come and hang out and talk and shake hands and hug and all that. And I want 4 corners of the shops represented. And my first thought was, oh crap, that's going to be really difficult to pull off. But I leaned on a bunch of great friends and people in the industry who have been lucky enough and blessed enough to be around to kind of help me out. Ray Schulte and Scott Prusha and Dan Burkus and so many other great people who helped. And then the guy who made it shine was a guy named Kusi, he's our secret weapon, who made the booth look like what I hoped it would look like. And it was way different than being there with Panini or in years past. I've been at the National as a member of Beckett and as a member of Donruss and then Panini. And but the common thread for me is that I've always I get the most enjoyment at every national of standing and talking to people from the minute I get into the show to the minute I leave every night, and just talking to people that have kind of enriched my life beyond what I could ever have hoped, with stories and friendships and relationships that will last far beyond any cardboard.
Yeah, I love the booth. Like I said, it was like you said, it was 4-sided. So it wasn't like just one countertop or whatever. And you guys were giving out shirts and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really important for me to be able to deliver that for Jimmy, because that was kind of Roadshow's first kind of full force coming out, if you will. And so even though California is not open yet, they needed to have a corner, because Justin and Ryan channels are well known in the industry, and they're going to have a shop in Sonoma really soon, and they needed to be represented there, as well as Kentucky, Texas, and New York. And then the thing that I think hit home the most with me, Jimmy Mahan, our owner, our fearless leader, he has this thing he says where, like, we want to be not transactional but transformational. And I know it kind of sounds corny and hokey, and to hear Jimmy say it in his accent's even better, but it's so true. Like, that's what we want to do is be transformational, not just transactional. Yeah, we want to sell stuff, but we also want to kind of impact each other in a positive way.
So you said there's 4 shops right now that.
So there's 3 open right now. Kentucky is the home base that started it all 2 years ago ish, and then Texas opened in June. New York opened in July, and then California has been met with the most like permit issues and city ordinances. And one of the things they asked us was how often did we think we would flush the toilet in a day? And we're like, I guess it depends on what people had for lunch or whatever, but we don't know. Like, and so there were a lot of permit issues that hit us in California, but those are finally out of the way, and the build out has resumed. And I think by mid-October at the latest, the California Road Show will be open in Sonoma, California.
Sipping and ripping.
Sipping and ripping, baby. That's right. And there's the thing I love about Roadshow is like the vibe is similar from shop to shop, but each shop has some geographical uniqueness to it. That is Kentucky has the Rupp Arena floor. Texas, everything's bigger in Texas. We have the biggest card wall I think most people have ever seen. Look at Val on it. Our friends at Show Your Slabs, we work with them. Corey over there to bring that to life. Jeremy Allen as well with collectors.
Who did you work with?
We work with Show Your Slabs, and Jeremy Allen at Collectors League was the one who kind of designed that backdrop. And then New York, we have the Brooklyn Nets. A part of their inaugural season court is the card bar, and so each shop has its own unique touches that make it unique to the region.
So Sonoma's going to have some of the track.
So that's not, dude, those channels, those channels guys love their NASCAR.
I know, because he was opening some at the Nationals.
He was. He opened some at the nightclub during Mint Collective, and he pulled I think he pulled a Danica 101 or something. He was going crazy, but there's gonna be, you mentioned Sip and Rip, Herman, and that there will be an element to that, like a humidor almost, that will serve as like a focal point, and then there's a very special piece that is NBA related that will be in there that will be quite spectacular.
Well, on the wall that you have, the mural you have in Texas, what does that consist of as far as?
That's a great question, and really what that is.
Space players or?
Well, there's a lot of Texas players in there, a lot of Dallas tie players, but there's also probably 1,000 of the most renowned trading cards kind of in our history. So it's all sports and entertainment, Pokemon, Fortnite. There are a few hidden Easter eggs in there. There's a card of Jimmy, Trey Huntsman, and David Diamondstein on our team have Lexington Legends cards because the Kentucky Roadshow sponsored a few game nights. So they have cards in there. I would be lying if I said I didn't have a card on that wall. It's just a bunch of cool stuff, and it's fun to be able to, like, when we have a lot of people in the shop, people don't necessarily have to wait in line because they're all looking at the wall, and they see things new every time they look at it, and it's a really cool conversation piece.
Being in Texas, I mean, there's got to be a Uncle Rich and Dr. Beckett card hidden there too, right?
I'm trying to think if I'm sure there is. Like Corey and Jeremy were supposed to get me like a master layout, so that, because one of the ideas that's, in addition to holding slabs, the wall also is very functional in the sense that we talked about having kids' birthday parties or whatever at the shop, and then doing a scavenger hunt that the first kid to find these 5 cards on the wall wins something. And so I need a master list. Corey, if you're watching, Jeremy, if you're watching, the master legend, the key, so I know where everything is.
Well, I was going to pause for a second here and thank everybody that's along for the show here in the chat with Canton Card Collector and Aram. Texas Logan's in the house. Bro,
Logan Ward, King NASCAR?
Yeah, King NASCAR.
Holy cow. Royalty. I didn't know we were joined by royalty tonight.
Yeah, Chris Harris, Long Fly Ball, and
nice.
Joe. Yep.
Love those dudes. Did you say Chris Harris too?
Yes.
Holy cow. The legends are coming out tonight, baby.
Yeah, he said California
100. 100%, Chris. That you are not lying, bro.
And then Bobby Burrell.
Nice.
And let's see. Speaking of birthdays, head of all time was born 104 years ago today.
Who?
I don't know.
Ted
Speaking
Williams.
of Ted Williams.
Ball game. What's up, Zig? Teddy Ball game is and they invited me to crash the party, Chris. Where were we? Oh, the wall.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's good. This kind of format's perfect because I have ADD really bad, so I love jumping around from stuff to stuff. But yeah, card wall was something that, like, we felt with Texas. So Kentucky has the Rupp Arena floor, and dude, if y'all haven't been to Jimmy's Kentucky Roadshow, it's changed a little bit in the fact that the building next door to the card shop became open, and Jimmy could not help himself, and he bought that building. And there's a literal Kentucky sports museum in that room. So it's like the card shop on the right, and then the museum on the left, and then within probably a month, he's building a roadshow headquarters that's just across the street and down the road just a little bit. So that will be a hub of certainly of Lexington and Kentucky trading card activity, but also a lot of the things that we do as a company will kind of descend upon Lexington and meet at HQ. And it's just a really different approach to the hobby shop model.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It's very interesting when I heard, about that, where it's kind of making it a destination, right? I know I can't tell you how many times I've looked in the chats or forums like, hey, I'm going here, and who knows, a good card shop.
Yeah. And that's Jimmy's ultimate goal, was to create destination places, not just because they're cool and people want to see them, but because the model is also to elevate the hobby. And again, what does that mean? Well, it's just kind of lifting people up through trading cards. I think we've all seen the power of what a box can do for somebody's spirits, what their favorite player can do to their spirits. And we're all living it. We all, when I see a cool card of John Elway still, or Vance Johnson or Ed McCaffrey, like, I still am happy when I see that, because there's so much passion for the team and passion for the collecting of that team or that player or that set, that you can't help but be happy.
So let's see. There was one about what city was it in? I think you said it was Lexington, right?
Lexington, yes, sir. The shop from where's the castle at, in North Carolina, or?
I don't know. Logan, where's the castle?
Where does Logan live?
He's in Memphis.
Memphis. So you can get there, Logan.
If it's got a White Castle by it, he'll be there. I know he's in the White Castle Hall of Fame too. So,
well, he should be. He's earned that spot.
Yeah, I need to mention that more on the NASCAR radio when I do an intro for him. I need to tag that one on. So,
absolutely.
A question here. Tracy, do you see the next few years of the hobby as more of a contraction and reset of marketing strategy before another boom, or is it a plateau?
That's a great question, David. I don't know if contraction is the right word. There's going to be some resetting of a bunch of different aspects, I think, but I still believe we're in a really good spot as an industry. I'm not at all like afraid of what we might not know at this point. I think we're in good hands, and there will be changes. Absolutely, how products are distributed is probably going to change. But I think the demand will not. And I think that I don't know that we're in for another like big boom, because the latest boom is still, I think, carrying all of us, and maybe even hasn't peaked yet. So, but I don't expect maybe a more of a plateau to this new normal that we've seen over the last 2 or 3 years. I think that would be okay, because I always felt like even when we were in the middle of it and things were going nuts, and every day we saw something we thought we wouldn't see again, and then we saw it again tomorrow. It's like that grew really fast, and I don't know that was ever intended to happen, and I don't know that people could expect that to sustain itself. And so I think there's been a little bit of market correction, a little bit of natural kind of slowing down that we see at this time or earlier in the summer every year, really. But man, people thought Atlantic City wasn't a good national town, and I still tend to agree with that. But nothing against Atlantic City. I just don't like my national being there. But it did nothing to dampen the spirits, the attendance, the money being spent, the cards being traded, and so I thought that was a really positive sign as well.
Do you think the change in the distribution model, which I think is necessary, but do you think that would help bring down the prices of boxes? I mean, in your wildest dreams, did you think like a box of Select would be $1,600?
No, not at all. And I think that's one of the most striking examples of where the market went really, really quickly. I think when a box, the example that I always go back to in my mind is Dahmer's basketball. When I was at Panini, I don't remember what year it was, let's say 2018, 19. A box of Dahmer sold on the Panini website for $100. And then the same kind of configuration for 2021 sold for $1,000. 1 year later, same product, same config, obviously new rookie classes, new designs, but the same product went from moving at 100 to moving even quicker to 1,000. I think that example to me really resonated and still sticks with me, that because the people that I felt really the most for were the product development folks who were kind of essentially making the same product the same way with pretty much the same budgets. They never anticipated that box would be $1,000, and they certainly didn't build it to deliver $1,000 in value, but a lot of where that went and the escalating values were kind of out of their control. So to answer your question, I never thought Select would be a $1,500 box. And for a while I was like, oh, there's no way. But every time there is a way. The market says there's a way, because that's what people are willing to pay for it. And so I think it really brought in this whole notion of dynamic pricing for the manufacturers and the direct to consumer distributors or merchandisers, that you could sell a $120 box for $1,000, and there's a lot of margin there.
You hear people say that Fanatics is taking, they're taking the cutting the third man out, the middle man out, to push the product at more of a profit for Fanatics and less toward the second and third market. But that being the case, they would have to, I would think, up the value of the box itself, though. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think Fanatics they're absolutely brilliant business people, and they obviously saw something in our market that attracted them, and they're I think they're going to do everything in their power to protect their investment, but also to keep the market healthy, and that will include some changes that some maybe we can anticipate, some that we can't. But I think if you're doing business, if you're a good business person doing good business the right way, I think you're going to be fine. And there are going to be growing pains, as there has been throughout this process. I mean, who would have thought the grading companies would have to stop taking submissions for months at a time to catch up, or the manufacturers would have to halt production on product because they couldn't get, of all things, paper or ink, or so I think a lot of this stuff caught a lot of people off guard, and so and that brings with it some growing pains and some key learnings that we all kind of have to get adjusted to. But I think we're in a really good spot, and I'm not just saying that because I'm always a glass half full guy. I am, but I think we've seen too much growth and too much innovation from the manufacturers, from stores, from content creators, to think that we're going to slow down anytime soon.
I want to pop this up here just so because it was a while ago. The about the different road shows that Jimmy should give a prize if you visit all the locations. So
funny you should mention that, because we're actually working on something really cool that will include a multi-shop prize opportunity. So you're onto something. We've had some discussions with some key partners, and hopefully soon enough we'll be able to unveil more details. But you're not far off track.
Then about the castle was, I guess.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So just
you know what I was thinking when Logan said that? I thought he was referring to the castle as his house. He's King NASCAR.
Gotcha.
That's what I said. But yes, I've seen that castle, and in fact, Logan, you may know this. I believe Jimmy told me that I think it was Andy Dalton or Matthew Stafford got married there, or proposed, or maybe Josh Allen. Somebody proposed to their better half at that castle. But I've never been to that castle, Logan, or to your castle.
All right, so we got another elephant in the room here. Logan asks, is Fanatics going to buy Panini, or do you think? I mean, I would think that you either let them. They've been pretty shrewd, right? The way they handled the. Yeah. It'll go down in textbook in management classes or whatever. Basically taking the licenses away from them and then buying tops for pennies on the dollar or whatever. So now that they have a card company, but what do you think, or that Fanatics might do with Panini, or is Panini in a good spot all by themselves?
That's a great question. I think most people would expect that to take place at some point. And you mentioned Fanatics being shrewd. I completely agree. They've been, and any time that I've had interaction with anybody from Fanatics, I've come away like impressed and optimistic about the future for all of us. And so I've seen nothing. I love the way they've dived in and done their research on the market and what is working and what's not, and how they can come in and make it better for all of us. And I think that's going to happen at all levels, like in the shop level, at the break level, at the product level. I think there's just a lot of good that they're going to do. And I'm kind of excited about the next few months and then the years after that.
Well, they definitely had a different experience at the National, right? They had the big Stranger Things and whatever.
Zero Cool booth.
Yeah.
They can call it Zero Cool, but that you couldn't count how much cool was in that booth, dude. That was way more than zero. That was a cool booth, man.
Because I was walking around, of course, everybody watching Stranger Things, whatever, and I heard the clock, so it caught my attention. But
yeah, that was a really cool and quite different booth than what you would normally see at the National. And I think that's just a small example of the kind of things they're going to do when they really start and get rolling.
I just looked through the chat here. Let's see, the Canton card collector. I wish Upper Deck would get bought out by Fanatics, but that's wishful thinking. I don't know. They're just kind of out there, doing hockey and
Marvel and yeah, they're. I talked to them a little bit. Mike Phillips, who I've known for years, talked to him from Upper Deck, and hey, they made Anthony Dovine and Brody the Kid cards, so they're doing something right.
Well, I was gonna say one thing that probably people don't even think about, but it just dawned on me, like I would actually consider acquiring them because of the e-pack. That is just an amazing delivery system that you don't have to re-engineer or get a whole bunch of developers, whatever. It's sometimes easy just to purchase a company just to get those assets,
Sure. Yeah. And e-pack, Jimmy is a freak for e-pack, man. Like he just eats that stuff up. And he's like, and the great thing about Jimmy is like he's got a real weird sleeping pattern. So he'll start texting the group at like 3 a.m. of all these cards he just pulled from e-pack because he's not sleeping. So he's buying these packs at whatever, 2 or 3 in the morning and sending us all the hits as we're trying to sleep. We're like, bro, can you tell us this in the morning? But he loves it. That they've really hit on something with e-pack. It's a great like virtual experience that's not just virtual,
Yeah, I don't know if Herman or Beau use e-pack at all.
I have not. I'm not into hockey, and that's is e-pack strictly hockey?
No, actually, they have was Goodwin's Champions.
Yeah, Goodwin Champions like a multi-sport. They got football,
Marvel. That's because they have some of the racing. I think Haley Deegan was in some of that, and then you can actually, not that this is a spot for Upper Deck and e-pack, but you can actually take those when you combine them into physical and then move them straight over to ComC or have them shipped or put into your ComC account. And so you can actually, when I think it was 2019, Haley Deegan was there, and basically they were just funneling from where people had combined them and then moving them to ComC, and then they're available for sale on ComC. So it's a time to buy them, for 2 cents or whatever. Even with the hockey cards, and you can buy stuff for 2 cents and then speculate or whatever, and then they've gone up or whatever. So you pick up your rookies or Marvel or autographs or whatever it is that they are distributing through e-pack.
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I've never really looked into it. I knew they had a physical aspect, not just a kind of like a Topps blunt type thing, but I've never dived into it.
Yeah, I'm not much of a NFT or like digital only guy. A lot of us old timers aren't, right? It's just not.
Yeah, the reason I use it is combining or grabbing stuff off of e-pack through.
Yeah,
they did a presidential one where they did one president a week, maybe it was, and if you had so many combined, I think it was a state, you got one state a pack or whatever, and if you had all the states that whoever won the presidency got, you got a relic with a presidential pin in it. So and you had to trade back and forth because if you missed a week or whatever, so at the end there it was getting tough. But anyway, so you very stuff.
I actually own 7 NFTs. So
do you?
I do, but it's not something I purchased. I picked them up during Shark Week.
Okay. Are they Shark Week NFTs? I dig it. I think NFTs are cool. Like some of the technology now, the way they spin and animate, and I love that. But it's just not I look at that more as like I don't know, just kind of a toy. I don't look at those as value, and I'm probably missing the boat, but I'm probably not the target audience either.
So you would want to actually have the hold your card in your hand, like you paid $12.6
like
million.
that. I would like to hold that card in my hand, and I would never let go of it.
No.
Man, can you like when I first saw that and the thought, just the notion that that card could be that good a grade is just surreal to me. It's just beautiful.
Yeah,
And when
I
12.6.
yeah, 12.6. The article in Wall Street Journal, they had mentioned that something had sold for 9.3. I think it was a jersey worn by the Argentine soccer player.
Oh yeah.
With his controversial hand of God goal in
Maradona.
Yep. But earlier that month, there was a rare authenticated Hornets Wagner T206 that sold for 7.25. And so it's just incredible.
Almost double that.
The previous record was set in April of 21.
It's the highest price sports card. It's the highest price sports memorabilia, period.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Man, it's just a specimen. I mean, golly.
You know how hard it is to get a grade like that, and then the card being whatever 70 something years old.
Yeah, you can't get a 9.5 today out of a pack, let alone one from whatever 5 years ago.
Yeah, pretty incredible.
Man, it is incredible. Is that yours, Val?
It went anonymous. I can't say.
Well, there was a note sent to the seller though by was it Rosen that sent it? That said that it was the most perfect card that they had seen of that card, and that they had actually estimated it before auction it was only going to go for like 10.
Wow. Let's see.
I think it's actually in that article that you got pulled up where it said it. I think that's where I read it at. No, that's not it. That's not the same one.
So here's a list of the 10 highest prices paid for sports cards. I don't know if that's coming through over there. So number one, the Mickey Mantle 52, 12.6. Hornets Wagner 7. It's a SGC 2 7.25. Hornets Wagner 206. SGC 3 at 6.6. Another 52 Mantle PSA 9 5.2. LeBron James 2003-04 rookie patch auto 5.2. That was a few years ago. Luka Doncic 1.11. Logo Man auto 4.6. Wow.
So
I remember that.
does it say when the
Does that mean Michael Jordan's the third best basketball player of all time?
I think it's just on this list. Of course, they don't have, I guess, the years, but there's Gretzky there at the 3.75. Another Hornets Wagner. Boy, for something that's supposed to be real scarce, is there's like 4 on this list already.
That's the only 4 in existence. So
does anybody remember when the PSA 9 Mantle was sold?
the one, oh man.
So this one here, the one for 5.2.
Oh, was that the one from
That's
McNally, the Gretzky one?
Would have been within the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then
I find it interesting that half a grade on the same mantle card, or not the exact same, but the same year, fetched more than double what a PSA 9 did.
Yeah, those, especially with a different company grading it. But the real telling thing about that list is, if you looked at that list 5 years ago, it's all going to be vintage, like all of it. Mm-hmm. And now you've got 4 or 5 cards from modern era. Trout, Mahomes, Luka, LeBron. Like, you never would have seen that, and that's one of the key indicators of where the hobby went in a really short amount of time, was when these 1, 2, 3-year-old cards, the Giannis Logo Man stuff, and started breaking records. It was like, oh crap, this is getting real.
Yeah, well, part of the 52 mantle is that whole lore where they tops disposed of the excess there. So
They threw him in the ocean. They threw him in the Atlantic Ocean, right? Isn't that what they said?
yeah, Hudson, yeah, I think they put him out.
Yeah. That's right. The Hudson, which I'm assuming the Hudson leads to the Atlantic Ocean. But I could be wrong on that too.
So
does that mean my ET Atari game will be worth $12 million in a few years? They supposedly took like millions of those to the dump.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So when you said the video games, the Atari or whatever.
ET was it Atari or Nintendo? Atari.
It was Atari. Yeah.
Atari.
It was supposed to be like the worst video
like
game
millions
ever
of
made.
them in the landfills and just buried them because they wouldn't sell them. So I'm figuring
That's funny.
in a couple of years I'll get an ET Atari game graded, and this $12 million. Easy.
Oh, I guess you'll need to go out and get the. Here's your investment tip, right? The ET Atari game.
ET Atari, phone home. ET phone home.
Yeah, who would ever thought that video games and VHS tapes, and you got Pokemon, everything except for NASCAR.
Your day's coming.
Yeah.
I just hope I live long enough to see it.
Val, you should be pretty happy though, because NASCAR is one of the few products that hasn't tripled and quadrupled in market price.
I always say it on the show. It's the last affordable sport to collect. So
yeah, it's you're. I think you're pretty spot on there.
Yeah.
But it's also one of the most enjoyable to rip. I mean, I'm not a huge NASCAR fan, Val, as you know, but I really do dig the when they do Prime or their National Treasures NASCAR stuff is just beautiful.
This year's Chronicles is really nice. I've been watching some of the breaks on it, and they're trying to acquire the image rights for Dale Earnhardt Sr. So putting a big full-on press for that.
That would be a difference maker for him for sure.
I think so. I've seen a lot of Dale Earnhardt Sr. stuff, a lot of collectability for that, especially at the National and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
No doubt. That's one of the things that's been missing from modern NASCAR for almost ever.
Since 2015.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. There was another. Let me change this other slide here, which I thought it was quite interesting, and with Fanatics making some of their moves, that the Major League Players Association, Baseball Players Association, is working on, I guess, unionizing, bringing in the minor leaguers.
Interesting.
So that they get them all under the Players Association umbrella, being able to license all of that.
Yep. And group expands group licensing big time for sure.
Definitely, I guess you can't lock out the players now because you have all the players unless throw down the parking lot and get a team together. So a lot more, I think, leverage for the players.
So I mean, are they going to start seeing an increase in pay in the minor league system now, or?
Yeah,
I would hope so.
I
think you would.
They've already increased salaries for minor league players starting this past season. It's crazy. I mean, I worked for a minor league franchise for a year, for a summer, just kind of exploring the industry, and it was a real eye opener. How the organizations, the franchises are run. Because it's all, it's the minor league franchises are owned by, not owned by major league organizations. Some are, but most are, business men and women. And then the major league franchises own, essentially the coaches and players and handle those. The minor league ownership group hires the employees, and they run on such a shoestring budget the employees are basically college students, home on break, and very low paid internships is basically what it is. And essentially the same with minor league players. Their salaries are peanuts, and which playing for peanuts is the saying in the bus leagues. And they're staying with host families, or in rundown motels, and it's just it's something. It's definitely a step in the right direction that Major League Baseball is taking, but it's far too late, in my opinion. I mean, this should have been done decades ago, because you're signing these players, and you you're putting them in these impoverished situations. They're eating peanut butter and jelly and staying in a roach motel, and yet you're trying to. These are your investments to build your professional franchise in the future, and this is how you treat them. It's um, almost inhumane how they've treated their players for decades. So it's definitely a step in the right direction, and it's far too late, but at least the steps are being taken.
But I think the real question I have is, do you have 1 million Cubs? Like how many? I'm assuming you're talking about your trading cards.
Yeah, did you have your board? Yeah, one national, he was walking around with his board with how many he had.
What's your current count or last count?
832,000.
Wow. So are you very picky in the cards that you add to that, or you just any and all Cubs, dupes count, let's go?
Dupes count, minor league cards count.
Okay.
So yeah, a little bit of them all count.
That's awesome, dude. How long have you been? When did 1 million Cubs become like your goal?
December of 2017.
Okay, so and how many did you have at that point?
Probably 50 or 60,000.
Wow. So over the course of what is that? It's
almost 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years, you've gained 770,000 Cubs card. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
What's your favorite one?
The Ernie Banks rookie is obviously a favorite, but I'm into vintage, so I've got some 1887 Allen and Ginter. I've got an old Judge. I've got some T202s, the Hassan triple folders.
Wow.
I've got some on my shelf, so I'm just kind of eyeing those.
That's crazy. What's your most expensive one?
Probably a Three Fingers Brown T206.
Wow.
And it's in a 3. That might be. But there's some of those vintage are, in the same ballpark. Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, the Cubs. It's the Cubs. It's not like a 52. There's no 52 Mantle with the Cubs, so that's a good thing for a Cubs collector.
Yeah, no doubt. That's cool, man. That's So did you cry when they won the World Series?
Actually, I did.
Yeah,
I did. I won't lie, I did.
No, I cried when the Broncos won Super Bowl 32. And I don't care who knows it. It's a special moment. Herman, did you cry last year when the Braves won? Or yeah, it was last year, right?
I think I was more excited when Georgia won the national championship. So
yeah, that was a big one too.
Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it. I celebrated like everybody else, but it was a little more long time coming for the other.
Yeah, that was fun to watch too. That's cool. What do you collect, Herman?
Braves.
Okay.
Primarily Freddie Freeman's, and we have binders of just basically Braves team sets that I work on.
That's cool.
Back as far as 66 so far.
Okay.
I kind of started. I cut off at 66 when I started. Just picked it up for when they come to Atlanta up, if I ever get to a point where I feel those, then I'll start going back.
That's cool. Do you have a favorite like card?
Probably and it's one I just picked up back in April, is the 2011 Freeman Cognac.
Okay. That's cool. I love it. I love the different passions that drive us to collect what we collect. It's that's why it'll never die, man. I mean, how many world wars and generations have cards been around?
Since late 1800s, right?
And they're going to be around for long after we're gone. After our great grandkids are looking at our card collections, saying, "What were they thinking?"
Well, they're checking out this video, yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna hop on their Google search engine and what was great grandpa Tracy talking about, and what's up with his hair? That's what they're gonna say.
Tracy, is there anything you're working on collecting?
No, I mean, yeah, all Broncos. I really have been on a Russell Wilson kick over the last several months for obvious reasons. Happy to finally see a bunch of his first like Broncos stuff coming out. But I went and bought a bunch of his top RCs, not the NT, but contenders and some top stuff at the National a little bit before then. And I like UFC stuff too. I'm a big Yuri Prohashka guy and have fallen in love recently with, not literally, and don't tell my wife, but Valentina Shevchenko, champion on the women's side of the UFC. So I'm just Broncos, UFC, Russell Wilson.
That'll keep you busy.
Yeah. And there's always something, right? Like I've never been one of those completists. Like back in the day, like when I first started working at Beckett back in mid-90s or whatever, and everybody was completist, right? They collected sets. They didn't really collect. I mean, they collected players too, and teams, but it was all about the sets and completing the set. And I think not too long after that, it became almost impossible to get everything. Or if you collected, like I grew up collecting Carlton Fisk, and I had to have every Fisk card. Well, eventually that became really impossible to do unless you have an unlimited amount of discretionary income, and I've never had that. So I find things I like that I don't feel compelled that I have to have it, but I like it. And if it's too expensive, I don't buy it. And if it's the price is right, I buy it.
Can't argue with that.
Nope.
I know what you collect, Val, but what's your favorite card?
I mean, it's I don't know, I have a few different. Right now, Ty Gibbs is on the top of my list to collect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that Joe's grandson?
Yeah, he's got the name and the skill. Not to go off on a tangent, but Kurt Busch had a concussion, so he had to basically sit out for a few weeks, and they needed a driver, so Ty Gibbs has been racing in Xfinity. He was Rookie of the Year last year, so yeah, Ty freaking Gibbs, and he filled in, and he's been doing real well, and so well that they were, I guess, negotiating with Kyle Busch for coming back because M&M's is not going to sponsor him. So usually you need to have a sponsor or whatever, but they're talking about putting Ty Gibbs in the 18 in Cup.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's pretty impressive. So his stuff's super hot, but when we do the podcast NASCAR Radio, that we go over the winners for all the different truck and stuff like that at Xfinity. So we've seen him coming, so we've been picking up, or I've been picking up stuff for the last year or two. So and then of course naturally the vintage NASCAR, which is super crazy. I mean, how many mantles were there? How many stuff were at the National? We saw only one 72 STV Petty, and that was one of the PSA employees was showing us. But nothing else. No Bobby Allisons, no Buddy Bakers, or even 83 Unos with Earnhardt Seniors or whatever. So, but it's more of the hunt.
Yeah.
But that's
Is
kind of
pardon my ignorance, but Haley Deegan, is she going to do anything? Is she? What's the story with her?
they changed her crew chief. She's running a truck. I think somebody was saying that she was spotted at Junior Motorsports. I think she might need to go to the Xfinity Series. I mean, Tracy, you've been dealing with celebrities and athletes and stuff like that, so they might have the talent. They have to be in the right system.
Yeah,
Their right frame of mind. They have to be focused. I think she might not necessarily be super focused. She's got a boyfriend. She's early 20s or whatever. Um, you have to have that drive, passion to be
no
number
doubt.
one. She can be. I think she has all the talent. I think again, you need some of those pieces. I think the right crew chief and the right team and other stuff. I mean, so I think she's got the talent, and if they can move her over, I think she's a Ford driver. They have her in a truck. So JR Motorsports would put her at Chevy, but maybe it's a change of manufacturer. I don't know, but she definitely has potential, and I think she's got a few more years to show it. So
Yeah, that's cool. I
but I
just know
think that's a game changer, right? Because you look at some of the other sports, the women have their own league, but in NASCAR or in racing in general, the women can compete right there on the same thing. So I think if you had a woman who can compete top five or actually win a race, that it brings a lot of women to the sport. So
yeah, no doubt.
which is a total game changer in sports, right? For baseball,
that'd be
football,
great.
hockey. So we'll see.
Val almost had me looking for NASCAR this weekend. Talking NASCAR.
Did he? He's like a Pied Piper.
Yeah,
He's a Pied Piper in NASCAR, man.
He was just talking about all the what was in the boxes now and what he had and what he was looking for, and I'm like, I started thinking back to, 9 or 10 years ago when I was actively watching NASCAR, and thinking, if nothing else, go back and pick up some stuff from then. But I fought the urge. I'm trying to stay in my lane.
Yeah.
I talked to so many people who we used to watch NASCAR, or maybe they collected it, but nobody talks about it until I mentioned it. It's like, oh yeah, I used to, used to watch it. Even it's just.
Yeah,
I still watch the big races now, like the Daytona 500 and the the race in Charlotte.
We got Darlington this weekend. I think it was a throwback race, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, but I just I can't. I don't know. I can't get into it like I used to. I used to love it. I mean, every Sunday or Saturday, whenever they raced, it was on the TV. No matter what was doing, stop, run the house, watch it, and go to a few races here and there. But just kind of fell out of it.
Yeah, I never really watched it until Panini got into it, and I had to kind of learn it on the fly because I had to try to help promote the products, and I really enjoyed it. Like the people are great. Like I know he may never be at the top of the game, but Greg Galding was a super nice dude, and Joey Logano is awesome. Cole Custer is awesome. It's just not a sport I think my bandwidth for things like when hockey came to Texas with the Stars back whenever that was in the 90s, or I was already my bandwidth was already maxed out. It was like football, basketball, wrestling, because I'm a wrestling dork. And then UFC came. I had to find spots for UFC in my life. And then it's just you've only got so much to give. And when I discovered hockey and NASCAR, I had nothing left to give, or I didn't want to give up something to take that in. So,
yeah, I remember you. I guess you had said Gray took you for a ride.
He did, yeah. We at the industry summit in Vegas, 2-3 years ago, we went on a ride around, and man, you talk about, I don't know how much he was pushing it, but it felt like he was breaking the law in some capacity, and he got so close to the wall. It was exhilarating, and I'll never get in a NASCAR again. But it was quite fun, and thank God Gray can drive, because I kept praying the whole time.
That's awesome.
But such a nice dude, and his dad's awesome, and he's super talented too. Like, he plays the guitar and sings, and I felt like, man, you should get. You're a good-looking dude. You can sing, you can play the guitar. Like, you go do something. Go, because you got skills, bro. But I'm sure the track is like his calling. He feels like it's his calling. And that's another dude. You mentioned it, Val. Like, if he is on another team or has a different opportunity, he could be at the top of the heap. But a lot of it's so much of what you talked about, just being at the right place, the right time, having a team that believes in you, that'll make things work for you. And that's so important.
Yeah. I mean, there's a side of NASCAR where, the driver needs to bring the sponsorship with him. So
Yeah.
He needs to be able to bring sponsorship and to get that ride and to get those races. And there are some that have super talented and they're not required to bring that.
Yeah.
Sponsor or whatever. Like we talk about with Kyle Busch, he needs to sponsor Danica Patrick. When she lost GoDaddy, she had Nature's Bakery or whatever, but then there was a big issue with them and they pulled out, and then she kind of lost that. So that's one kind of on the underbelly of the sport, so for the teams, whatever. So yeah, super talented. Like I said, maybe in the right spot, right time. Bad luck too. I mean, you're racing along and somebody else gets loose, whatever, and hits you and you takes you out. And that's one thing about Gray is he took care of the car because there wasn't a lot of extra sheet metal for sale.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
like, he had to worry about tires and like not wrecking it, and that factors in. That's a business decision at the end of the day. Like, do you push it and try to get a few extra places, or do you save the car for next week?
Yes. Back in the old days, some of those old timers, they actually drove the car to the track, and then they need to take care of it so they can drive it home. Otherwise, there was the one thing where I think it was Lee Petty, Richard Petty's dad. They were all hitchhiking on their way home. Lee had messed the car, crashed the car. So. For those smaller teams, it's still like that. So,
yeah.
Anything else in the chat? I know we're getting kind of close here. Any other topics you guys want to talk about that we haven't? Again, thanks to everybody in the chat for the great comments and watching the show today, participating.
Absolutely. You brought the legends out, Val. Long Fly Ball and Chris Harris. You got R90.
We have a caller here.
Oh, there he is.
Hey, Tracy.
What's up, man?
Just hanging out, man. Listening to you guys, man. It's a good show.
I think he's talking NASCAR, and he had a.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to gum up the show with a bunch of NASCAR talk. I just wanted to really call and say hi to Tracy.
I was trying not to, but
it's always good to see you, Logan.
It's good to see you too, man. How things going in Texas? Did you guys survive?
Man, we just got another vicious rainfall this evening, man. It's cooling things off, but boy, it's causing some havoc for. We got a lot tonight, but Dallas last week got just destroyed. It was unexpected, I think, too, which is weird, but. Yeah, but aside from that, things are good. It's starting to cool down finally, and I can bear to take my dog for a run twice a day and not kill myself, which is a plus.
Yeah, I hear you. It's I'm ready for football, man. I'm
dude,
tired of the heat.
Yeah, I'm ready for that. And I'm an empty nester now, so I don't know what that's all about. I'm having a hard time coming to grips with that, to be honest with you. We could do a hobby hotline therapy hour, and you guys could talk me through being an empty nester.
Yeah, I'm an empty nester too. Of course, I only have one son. He's getting ready to get married here in October, so can't wait for that. It's gonna be good.
That's great. What is October?
October 23rd.
Coming up, yeah.
That's awesome. So you get to gain another kid.
I do get to gain another kid.
See,
So.
we're going opposite directions. I'm losing mine. You're gaining them. The hell?
I got my puppy dog down here. I don't know what she's doing.
I had the first time, not that you guys care, but I'm going to tell you about my dog because I don't have any kids at home anymore. But my dog he loves like chewing boxes up, and he got a milk bone box onto his muzzle, and he couldn't see anything earlier tonight. And it was one of the highlights of my week. Oh, look at that puppy dog right there. That's awesome. Wow, we got 2 puppy dogs.
So we got Bella and Beau. What's your dog's name?
My dog is Biscuit.
Biscuit. So you got who? Biscuit. What is yours?
Bella.
Bella and Herman. Yours is what?
Athena.
Oh, that's sweet. Mine is. Are you ready for this? His name is Bronco.
There's a lot of bees going on tonight.
Well, there is. There is.
Well,
but a lot of bees, but no BS.
I don't know about that.
Well, there's actually a lot of BS going on tonight.
Yeah, I just wanted to call in and say hi. Just miss you. Really didn't. We saw you at the National. We got to talk for a little bit, but
yeah, it got crazy quick, man. Yeah, Are y'all coming to Dallas again anytime soon for the Dallas show?
I probably won't be there until next year.
Well,
I'd like to try to come soon, but I just don't see it in the cards.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Have y'all been up to Panini when y'all been there, right?
No.
Okay, when y'all come next time, let's come to the road show, and then we'll go to Panini and we'll do like a Metroplex tour.
That's awesome. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, dude.
Yeah. Well, I just got to get Val to come, but he's busy buying cars for his daughter and everything.
Well, we got a vehicle. Well, my daughter turned 16, so she's driving to school. So I need to get a vehicle. So that's where my national money went. So now,
well, I understand that. I just bought a new red Volvo SUV because it's the one I rear-ended in my wife's minivan last week. So that was awesome.
Oh boy,
that's cool. That's cool. The fact that I was driving my wife's SUV is bad, or minivan is bad enough. The fact that I had to wreck it was even worse. But it was humbling.
Now with cars, yeah, now's not the time to be buying.
No, it's not.
You don't want to be buying wax, and you don't want to be buying cars.
Yeah, you can't afford either right now, really.
Exactly. So.
All right. Well, I'm going to sign off. I just wanted to really just call in and say hi to Tracy.
Hey, great seeing you, Logan, as always, brother.
It's good to see you too, Herman and Beau.
You too, Logan.
Yeah, I'm stuck with Val. I see him all the time. All right. I'll see you guys later.
See you, Logan.
See you, Logan.
I was going to say, if there's anything else in the chat, any more questions for Tracy, Beau, or Herman?
Hey, Val, this is no offense, but if I'm being honest, I think our NASCAR talk put everybody to sleep.
Maybe. Actually, I do have a question for you. I don't know. So the companies are talking about their supply chain issues, right? With, I guess, paper. How is there anything you see fixing it? Is there anybody trying to acquire any printers or?
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest. That was something I always felt like. I left Panini in late December, and like even before then, a lot of us in the office would talk about, well, we need to create a new vendor, like a new manufacturer, and back in the day, probably back in the 90s, like there were 3 or 4 trading card manufacturers across the country, right? Big print houses that could handle what it took to make trading cards back then. But when GCI became kind of the only game in town, aside from a few small boutique shops that couldn't handle large volume but could do some intricate stuff, like nobody else does it. And so what it takes now to produce trading cards, the die cutting and the technology and the foils and the memorabilia and the autographs and stuff, like I think people have just shied away from it because it's too complex. And then you get into a situation like I think we're almost out of it now as an industry. I don't hear as much complaining about it from the manufacturer side, but man, who would have, like, there were so many things that happened because of that boom that really caught everybody off guard, but it wasn't really their fault because you couldn't really, nothing kind of predicted where we were going and how we got there so fast. Oh, and by the way, during a pandemic too, it was like, what in the world? It was really a bizarre time. And so I think a lot of people, I say they were caught off guard, but you can't really blame them because nobody had any idea where this thing was going.
So what about like, I think Panini does it in-house, and I think Topps as well, like the Panini Instant and the Topps Now. Those are printed in-house?
Yes. Yeah, and they do, like, that's really simple, like printing and paper. And yeah, those do really well. It's just you can't get the memorabilia.
Yeah, the chrome and the
prime patches. The Optichrome is the real big thing because so much of what Panini does now is Optichrome. It's like Select, Mosaic, Optic, Prism. Like, it's all, I bet half their line is probably Optichrome based, if not half, maybe 30-35%. And so, and that stuff takes longer to produce and longer lead times. And so when you're waiting on stuff for those products, you're going to be waiting for a while.
Right. Interesting. And well, I guess we're past the time here. I don't know if you guys have anything else or any more folks in the chat.
I've enjoyed it. Beau, Herman, it was nice to chat with you guys, man.
Yeah, nice to have you on.
Good to have you.
So, I guess I'd see on Twitter, I guess you guys got a new sign.
Yeah, we got a new sign in Texas, and that by virtue of our permitting issues in all the other states, like Texas is the only shop that has like a really legit sign that's big and it lights up. And like New York, where Kevin is with the New York Road shows in Bronxville, which is a real uppity little neighborhood, great place, but their city ordinances won't allow signs. So it's on the awning. It's about like that tall and it's like real small. And then in Kentucky, there's an awning that has a logo on it, but it's not like a legit sign. So when Texas, and for the first month or so, Cody had this real rinky-dink like vinyl sign hanging up, and the wind would blow it around and stuff. And so a few weeks ago, the permanent sign got put in, and it added a lot to it. I haven't seen it at night yet, so I'm looking forward to really soon seeing it lit up at night. But yeah, that was cool to see that because it was kind of the last piece of the build out that hadn't been completed yet.
So it's like officially completed.
Yeah.
From the move-in, yeah. So very cool. Well, I guess we'll leave it there. Tracy, thanks again for joining us tonight. Appreciate it very much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Anytime, Val. I enjoyed it. Enjoyed you guys' company and conversation, and wish y'all nothing but the best in the days and weeks and months and years ahead, man.
Appreciate it. I guess you sign off here, Herman, if there's where folks can find you, and Beau and Tracy as well.
Well, I'm 3B Collections on YouTube and Twitter.
1 Million Cubs on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, 1millioncubs.com.
Because 835,000 Cubs was too clunky.
Beau, you got any shows coming up?
Let's see. The next Madison card show is in a month. I just had one this past Saturday. So September 24th, And then I am co-promoting a show with a couple guys that run some shows in Northern Illinois. We're going to do a 250 table show in Rockford, Illinois. And that's going to be a 2-day show, October 15th and 16th.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Love it.
All right, Tracy, where can folks find you?
You can find me, Tracy _Hackler Instagram, Tracy Hackler Twitter, and then Roadshow Cards Instagram, Twitter, Facebook and YouTube for all of our other. And Roadshow Cards is like the umbrella for all the shops. So a lot of what I do on Roadshow Cards social is promoting stuff that's happening at Texas Roadshow, Kentucky Roadshow, New York Roadshow, and California Roadshow in the next 6 weeks or so.
Awesome. I'll have to check all that out. And on NASCAR Radio, on Twitter, Instagram, and podcast YouTube channel drops on new stuff on Friday. So, but for the guys, thanks for watching. And Saturday will be a new cast of characters: Brad, Herman, and Victor, and special guest. So it's gonna be Saturday, September 3rd at 11 a.m. Eastern. So, all right, guys, we're out of here.